Senior High School. As always, we'd like to thank Sanford for their sports medicine and coverage at all of our home athletic contests this fall and winter season. Also a reminder that concession stands are open to the west side of the main bleacher area. Popcorn, soda, water, candy, hot dogs, other items for sale at the Spuds concession stand. Porta potties are available on the other end of the field as we're having some work done on the plumbing. As we get underway here from Hambrass Field and Jim Goda Stadium, let's meet the starting lineups for both soccer squads this evening. First, for our visitors on the scoreboard, the Otters of Fergus Falls High School. Our first starter, number 1, Bryn Wolter. Number 4, Hope Getford. Number 5, Maddie Halter. Number 12, Vanessa Vaughn. Number 13, Ryland Crime. Number 14, Kiara Grady. Number 15, Piper Andrews. Number 21, Talia Nelson. Number 22, Maddie Boyd. Number 24, Tyra Sherritt. Number 25, Yana Krishman. The Otters are coached by Mr. Ben Juergens with the rest of the coaches, players, and staff of the Fergus Falls Otters High School Girls Soccer Squad. And now let's meet the starting lineup for the home team of the scoreboard, our Spuds of Moorhead Senior High School. Spud starter number 2, Paige Johnson. Number 4, Sydney Tweeten. Number 10, Kaden Sharp. Number 12, Ellie Feeney. Number 13, Maria Zanotti. Number 14, Olivia Dronin. Number 15, Kate Kosabud. Number 17, Grace Bernstrom. Number 18, Haley Clem. Number 19, Ella Rice. And finally, number 22, Annie Craig. The Spuds are coached by Miss Allie Evanson with the rest of the coaches, players, and staff of the Moorhead High School Spuds Girls Soccer Squad. Ladies and gentlemen, we're honored to have the Spud Pep Band here at Jim Goda Stadium this evening. If at this time you all please rise, direct your attention toward the east end of Hambrass Field as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem by the Moorhead High School Pep Band.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's presentation of Moorhead Girls High School Soccer here on Spuds TV, brought to you by Muscatel Subaru. I'm your play-by-play commentator, Carter Castoris, and along with my crew here at Spuds TV, we welcome you. Tonight's matchup features the Moorhead High School Spuds versus the Fergus Falls High School Otters. Moorhead comes into this competition at 0-4 and Fergus at 2-2. Moorhead's previous matches have been versus Waconia, Brainerd, Osseo, and Stillwater. That match versus Brainerd, a Central Lakes section matchup, as Brainerd actually leads the Central Lakes section at 3-0. Fergus Falls' 4 games have been faced versus Ricori, Alexandria, Crookston, and East Grand Forks. As we get ready for the game tonight, just a couple of stats here on the team. Tweeton and Zanotti from Moorhead each lead the team with 1 goal each, and Andrews and Sherritt from Fergus Falls have 4 goals and 4 assists each. So make sure to look for them, as they will more than likely get called a couple times tonight. We are just about set here on the field as we await the refs okay for Moorhead to kick it back. And here it's off as Zanotti's going to kick it back to a midfielder. She can move it over to the side to Casabud. Casabud's going to tap it back. And that's going to be tipped back to Rice, the goaltender, before this moved over to Bernstrom. Bernstrom intended for Casabud, but that's going to be stolen by Boyd, who's going to in turn have a couple passes, and that's going to tap over to the wing before that's stolen away by Paige Johnson. And stopping it from rolling out of bounds there along the far side was Vanessa Vaughn. And now that'll roll out of bounds, and Moorhead will get a throw in. That's thrown into Zanotti, as the ref is going to rule that a handball, and Fergus will take a kick right in their defensive half at almost midfield. That kick's going to sail into Fergus's offensive zone. And a couple of bounces before that's settled down by Jeopard and knocked back out by Moorhead. Here's Zanotti moving it back up now. She's going to bolt past the defender. Move around to goaltender. And Zanotti scores! 1 minute and 10 seconds into the game, and Moorhead's on the board 1-0. As it did not take long for Zanotti to get her team ahead. And if you remember broadcasts from last year, Zanotti and Watson were well above their team last year with goals, as they're both top 10 in the state actually for goals, and looks like she's picking up right where she left off as she gets her 2nd goal of the season. Again, 1 minute and 10 seconds into this game. As now Moorhead's going to gain possession of that, as a couple of Spuds are going to be around in midfield before Casabud's going to kick it out. And a weird bounce for Moorhead will end up coming away with it. That's Tweeton that bounced it off of a Fergus Falls defender. And now here comes Bernstrom for the throw-in. That's into Casabud. Casabud's going to try to get it up to Dronin, but she won't be able to stop it before it ends up rolling out of bounds. And now goalkeeper Bryn Walter of Fergus Falls is going to get a goal kick. Excuse me, a kick out from her box. So now she's going to move it up before that's intercepted by Casabud. Casabud's going to kick that ball out after a hard pressure by Maddie Boyd along the side there. So a throw in for Fergus Falls. That's Zanotti who's going to try to head it across. Casabud in the middle, back to Zanotti. Back to the middle. That was Sharp trying to tap it ahead, and Zanotti's going to end up getting back to that one. Zanotti back to Sharp. Back to Zanotti. Or tap back for Bernstrom. Bernstrom's going to move it along the side before that's taken away by Boyd. Now that's moved up to Andrews. Piper Andrews making a dash down the middle before that's passed ahead. And a foot race between Fergus and Moorhead before Ella Rice plays aggressive and comes out of her box and knocks that one away. As Bernstrom's going to tap it to Casabud. Casabud's going to move it up along the side to Dronin. Dronin with 2 defenders on her is going to end up moving it back to Casabud, and her pass is going to just go out of the reach of Zanotti, where it is tapped out by Nelson from Fergus Falls, and Moorhead gets a throw in along the near side. Bernstrom's going to throw that one in, and that's Casabud with a move around a defender. Before she's taken off there by Gepford and Boyd. Gepford. Now Nelson's going to kick it out right to about midfield before that's intercepted by Casabud. Casabud taps it up to Zanotti. Zanotti's going to move it on over to Dronin. Dronin streaking along the side before she's knocked off by Halter. And Zanotti will tap that one out of bounds. Some great defense there from Halter and Prischman as they ended up getting Dronin off of the ball there, and now they get a throw in their defensive zone. And that's thrown into a crowd of both Fergus and Moorhead players. As now Zanotti's going to come away with that, and a nice move around a defender before that's tapped out, and she'll get a throw in. That throw in's going to be past to Casabud, and she's going to score. Moorhead has their second goal of the night here. 2 goals right within 5 minutes. That one will come at 4:40 into the first half, and the Spuds lead 2-0 on your Burt's Trucking Equipment scoreboard. Again, that was Casabud from a Zanotti throw-in. So Zanotti with an assist and a goal right away here in the first half alone. And even the game is now Fergus is going to look to recoup from that. Here's Casabud now. Moved up the side, intended for Dronin, but just a little bit too far ahead. And now Maddie Halter is going to take the throw in here for Fergus. She's going to throw it into Boyd before that's taken away by Zanotti. Zanotti with a couple of moves before she goes between Boyd's legs. And around 2 more defenders. She's going to try to chip that one up to Sharp, and I believe that will be ruled offsides by the official. And now Fergus Falls will get a kick from the offsides spot. Now that's Nelson teeing up for a kick that's going to come to about the 50-yard line before that's booted to Zanotti. Dronin and Zanotti moving it back and forth there. Before that's moved on over. And Tweeton will pass that one back to Feeney, who's got a defender chasing her hard. That's on the far side now as Krieg is going to move that up. And some contact there between Casabud and Gepford, as now Zanotti's going to end up with it, and she'll try to take a hook shot of the net that's just going to go to the left of goalkeeper Bryn Walter. And so she'll get another box kick and try to kickstart this Fergus Falls offense, which for now has, for the most part, been contained to their defensive zone. So you may see some changes here as Fergus Falls tries to adapt to such an aggressive play style from Moorhead, and Zanotti sends in another hook shot, just this time to the right of Walter. As Walter tees up for her kick, she's trying to decide where to put it. Eventually she's going to try to move that up to Boyd and Gepford's area, but it'll be taken away by Moorhead. Now moving it up here is Andrews, as she'll make a move around a defender. And she'll just send that in to Rice, who's going to stop that with her feet actually outside of her box. She's almost playing defender there. Now here along the side, that's Krieg. Trying to go through a defender's legs, but she couldn't, and that's knocked away from her. Up along the side here is Sherritt. And Feeney knocks her down as the ball go away from her, and Moorhead gets a box kick, I believe. I take that back. They're going to rule that one off of Feeney and out of bounds. And so Fergus Falls will get a corner kick here to Ella Rice's left and the camera's far side. That's going to be sent into the box. That's fielded by Feeney. And she'll knock that one away. And send that one up before it's stopped by Grady. Grady's going to try to send that in, but Rice will scoop that one up and stop any further development for Fergus. She's going to boot that one up to about the 40 before that's knocked away by a Brainerd forward, and Moorhead will end up getting possession back. As that's moved along the side, there's Krieg streaking up. Krieg's going to take a shot on net off of the post. Just about went in. It's about as close as you can get to a goal without getting one, as eventually it'll be tapped out of bounds. And Moorhead will throw it into Zanotti. That's going to be moved back over to Tweeten before that's stolen away from her. Before Zanotti will take that one back, and that's going to be passed over to Johnson. Johnson with a move around. Before that's knocked away from her by Grady. But Cree's going to pass it back over to Johnson. And a couple of possession changes and bounces is now a hook shot's going to go in on net, and Walter's going to make that save. Her kick gets sent out to about the 35-yard line there on the football field, and Moorhead's going to tap that back up to Sharp. As now Sharp's going to get it back on a tap pass from Krieg. As now Zanotti tries to make a move, but great defense there from Maddie Halter. As now Fergus is going to get possession of that, and that's Piper Andrews with a move around Moorhead there. She's going to chip that one up for Sherritt before that's stolen away by Feeney. And a block there by Krieg is going to send the ball out of bounds, and Fergus will get a throw in there along the far side. As now we have some substitutions here for Fergus, as number 10, Maddie Burke, and number 11, Ella Starzl, will come into the game. And a throw in there along the far side by Grady is going to bounce to Moorhead. That's Sharp there, trying to move it up for Krieg, but that's going to just bounce over. Now Grady's going to battle for it with Krieg. Move it up now, and Feeney's going to tap that back up to Krieg. Krieg with a nice move around a defender, tries to move it over to Zanotti. For Feeney's going to boot that one back up there. That's Nelson trying to decide what to do with Zanotti putting on a huge amount of pressure before Walter's going to scoop that up and kick it back out. Bouncing ball settled down by Moorhead, but a stolen pass is going to be taken by Fergus. And now Andrews is going to try to make a move, but that's stolen away from her before she takes it right back. And now that'll be ruled a foul on Moorhead's number 18, Haley Clem. And Fergus Falls will get a kick right past the 50 and just inside their offensive zone. That's going to be sent in for a streaking forward Vaughn. Rather, that's Sherritt, and she's going to move it on over to Butke. Force intercepted by a Moorhead defender and tap back out, and eventually that's going to make its way back over to Dronin, who moves up along the side, and her pass for Zanotti is just going to go out to the side, and after a couple bounces, Moorhead's going to get their throw in. Here's Bernstrom throwing it in for a couple of tap passes, and now in comes Piper Andrews, who is ruled offsides by the official, and now Moorhead will get a kick and a chance to regroup here as Piper Andrews jumps the gun just a little bit on that one, as she almost had a break-in all alone on goaltender Ella Rice. Moorhead's kick is going to be sent up and headed by Zanotti. Before Nelson's going to get that one and tap it back out as she realizes her defense wasn't quite set up for that yet. Here comes Dronin, throws it into Casabud. Kosova's going to move it back and forth in a little tic-tac-toe pass before Bernstrom ends up with it, but that's going to be intercepted before she takes it right back and tapped out, so Fergus Falls will get a throw in. Here's Gepford, who throws it in. Couple of back and forth passes there before Clem tries to settle it down. And that's Tweeton, who's going to pass it back. And now working its way up to Kosobud. And that pass is going to be blocked down by Boyd and regrouped by Dronin. Dronin's going to send that into Sharp. Sharp's going to chip that ahead for Krieg. Krieg streaking along the far side there as she tries to drive the net, but some great defense by Ella Starzel, who is one of the first 2 substitutions for this game. So the fresh legs kind of showing there for Fergus Falls as she cuts off a streaking forward, Annie Krieg, and prevents a scoring chance. Zanotti's with that now as a mover on a defender, and a shot will sail in from the 25, and she's got 2 on the night. With 26:20 remaining in the first half, Moorhead is up 3-0, and Maria Zanotti with 2 unassisted goals and an assist, all within the first 20 minutes of tonight's game, as now the score stands on your Burt's Trucking Equipment scoreboard, 3-0 in favor of your hometown Spuds. Here's Fergus now with it, passing it over to the close side as that's Budke. With it now is Fergus Falls, and a streak forward and a save by Rice. That goes off of her right shin. And she's playing very aggressive right out about the in between her small box and the big box, and some great pressure there by Fergus as they're going to try to, again, regroup after a goal by Zanotti. Speaking of Zanotti, she's going to be pressuring Holter right now. And she's going to knock that one away, but it'll be just too far. And Walter is going to get a free kick, box kick, which you will opt for her defender, Talia Nelson, to take for her. Kosova's going to try to head that, but Fergus Falls is going to intercept that. Here's Bernstrom. Bernstrom's going to try to move that to Kosobud before a battle for it along the side with Budke, and she'll knock that one out. There's a hard shot from Kosobud that may have been intended to bounce off of her.
Substitutions checking in for Moorhead, number 5, Isabella Watsky, and number 9, Haley Bedford. For the Otters, number 23, Haley Kugler.
And as you may have heard there, Haley Kugler checks in for Fergus Falls, and Isabella Watsky and Haley Bedford will check in for Moorhead. And that's Feeney trying to tap it along the side there for Johnson. Before that's just going to go a little bit out of her reach, and Fergus Falls is going to take a throw in and a big step in and a launch there along the side. For eventually, it's going to be taken along the side by Watsky, and she's taken down. And there will be a Moorhead free kick at about the 34-yard marker there along the football field. As now that's going to be tapped up there for Tweeton. Tweeton's going to go between the legs of a defender to Sharp. Sharp's going to send in a shot on net that's going to sail just up and to the right of the camera angle to the left of Walter, and she will get a goalie kick, which we will send out. And that's intercepted by Sharp. Sharp's going to pass it to Zanotti, who tries to make a move and eventually pass back to Tweeton. Tweeton takes a shot in net, and Walter makes the save as that bounces off of her hands, and she stops it from going out behind her net. Walter's going to boot that one up, and that's Feeney heading that one over a Moorhead Fergus Falls forward. So now there's a battle for it. And that's tapped over to Bernstrom. Bernstrom's going to move it on up to Zanotti. Zanotti. Now that's Bedford. Before that's a weird pass, and now Fergus Falls is going to get possession of that. As that Sherritt tried to move it up there to Andrews, and eventually Boyd is just going to clear it all the way up to Rice, who's playing well out of her box, and now a scramble as Rice is going to take down the defender on a little bit of a scramble there. She came well out of her box, just about 15 yards outside of the front of her box, and attempted to play defense there, but she'll manage to make it back and prevent a scary opportunity there for Fergus. Now an Otters throw in along the side. That's Boyd throwing it in for cleared out by Bernstrom. That's Zanotti here. Four shot's going to go well up for Watsky. Watsky streaking past the defender. Watsky with a nifty move around a defender. And Zanotti's going to take a shot and a save by Walter as she dives to her left and prevents Zanotti from getting a hat trick in the first half. That kick's going to be booted into the sky, intended for Prishman, but that'll be knocked down by Moorhead instead, and Costabud's going to get control of that. Zanotti back to Costabud. That's knocked away from her by Halter, and now Moorhead's going to get a throw in. Bernstrom's going to throw that into Costabud before she's pressured hard by Boyd. Costabud's hook shot's going to be stopped there by Halter before it's taken away from her by Tweeton. Tweeton's going to move it to Feeney in about the midfield, and that's going to move to Johnson, who's going to in turn move it to Watsky. Before that is knocked away from her by Grady, as that'll eventually go out of bounds. And the Otters will get a throw in as we have a host of substitutions here along for the Otters. There's number 8, Megan Tossett comes in. Number 12, Vanessa Vaughn. Number 20, Desi Mack. And I believe number 23, Haley Kugler, will also come in. That's going to be settled down here by Gepford. Gepford pressured by Bernstrom as that's going to bounce off. I do apologize, that was Tossett, not Gepford. That was in the battle there with Bernstrom. Bernstrom's going to throw it in. That's intended for Zanotti. It's going to be tapped out there by number 23, Haley Kugler. Bernstrom's going to throw that one into Bedford. Costabud's going to win the battle of that one. As she goes between two defenders, tries to tap it ahead, and Zanotti realizes she can't quite catch up to that one, and Walter comes out of her net to scoop that one up. She'll take that to the far side of her box. And that's going to be moved up to Kugler, who's going to pass that back to Grady. Grady's shot's going to go all the way up. Feeney's going to block it away from an intended target of Sherritt. That's going to be moved back to Mack. Mack back to Grady. Grady's going to try to pass it up, but again, Ellie Feeney there to intercept it as she watches that roll out of bounds. And some whistles there by the ref as Moorhead will put in some substitutions. That'll be number 21, Grace Tibiatowski, and number 11, Gabrielle Wolf, coming into the game here, as Costabud and Sharp will work their way over to the sidelines. That throw-in's going to go there into newly entered Gabrielle Wolf, who's going to pass it back to newly entered Tibiatowski. As Tweeton's going to tap that one back over to Watsky. Watsky's going to move it back along before that's booted all the way up and into Walter's box before she scoops that one up. And a kick right to about the 45 on the yard line as Feeney's going to head that one. And a kick to the face of a Fergus Falls attacker, and some great effort there by Sherritt as she takes a kick to the face and keeps out Fergus Falls' possession. And now they're going to get a throw in along the near side here. as that's toss it, trying to throw it in. That's going to go just over the head of Andrews. As there will be a whistle there, and there'll be a kick for the Fergus Falls Otters right outside of the box, as that's number 24, Tyra Sherritt, taking it to Rice's right side as Moorhead lines up. If you remember the boys' game, Max Hodney scored on a shot similar to this. And that shot just about the same places as Hodney's, but that's going to go about 3 feet high of the net. And Rice will get a kick from behind her net, which she's going to opt a defender to take. As that's Clem that's going to pass it over to Bernstrom. Bernstrom's going to try to move it up there along the side, but that's taken away from her. Before Feeney will end up getting possession of that back, and that's knocked away there. So great pressure there by Vaughn and the rest of her offense, as Fergus is going to maintain possession of that. It's going to try to be sent back in, but Wassey's going to block that one before it eventually will be moved back up. Now here's Grady with it. That pass is going to be blocked away by Johnson, and Fergus Falls will get a throw in there along the far side. That's Grady throwing it in, fielded by Feeney, who's going to hit that back up and out of bounds, and Grady's going to get another Otter throw in there along the far side. With 16:05 remaining here in this game, the score stands on your Burt's Trucking Equipment scoreboard at 3-0 in favor of your Moorhead Spuds. 2 goals coming from Maria Zanotti and 1 goal coming from Kate Casabud, which Zanotti assisted on. So some great offensive pressure here from Moorhead to start the game as Fergus Falls tries to match it here with a solid 2 minutes in their offensive zone here. Where that's Grady that settles it down, and blocked away there by Johnson. And that's kicked out there along the side by Watsky. And Grady's going to get another throw in there along the far side. That's settled down there by Wolf before that's taken away from her by a Fergus defender, and a couple of tic-tac-toes, and Moorhead's going to gain possession of that, as that'll actually be Gepfer that takes it away from her, passing it away to Halter. Halter moving it along the left side. And a block pass by Bedford as that's going to bounce off. And another throw in for Fergus Falls. And that's thrown up for Prishman. He's going to try to make a move around about 4 Moorhead defenders following her. Now there's a battle inside the box there for the ball, and that's moved up to Zanotti. Zanotti moves it over to Bedford, where that's tapped in, and then tapped back out immediately by Moorhead. Starting with it now is Prishman before she's pressured by Moorhead. A couple of tic-tac-toes, and Feeney's going to end up with that one. Passed up now here is Grady. Grady along the far side trying to make a move. Feeney's going to intercept that one. After a weird couple of bounces, Tweeton's going to end up with that one and pass it to Zanotti. Zanotti looking for options. She's going to pass it up intended for Wolf, as she thought that went just past her, but a great read there by Bryn Walter, and she'll come out and stop that one and prevent any farther damage from being caused by Moorhead. As the kick's going to be shoved in now, and foot race between Feeney and Sherritt's going to be along the side there. Before it's shot in, and Rice will scoop that one up. That one's kicked out to about the 45, and that'll roll into Moorhead's offensive zone before Zanotti's going to tap that one away. Zanotti putting pressure there on Nelson. Nelson's going to tap it over to Grady. And Grady's just going to throw that one out of bounds, and Moorhead's going to get a throw in there along the far side as Paige Johnson's going to take that. But before that, we have some more substitutions for Moorhead. As we have number 8, Alexis Alderbach, and number 20, Elizabeth Retzer. And Moorhead's going to throw that one in. Tweeten putting pressure on a defender there, and there'll be a kick for Zanotti just outside of the box. Zanotti looking for her 3rd goal tonight, and she'll take a shot from outside the box on the far side there and look to make it 4-0. As the Otters and Spuds both line up. And Zanotti's kick's going to sail over the line of defenders, and a couple of weird bounces, and it'll go in. Moorhead will have a goal. I did not quite catch who scored that. I know it was a Zanotti shot. And Watsky and Bedford were in the mix there. That is not a goal. The refs ruled it, I believe, a handball on Moorhead, or that Walter actually had it covered, so the score will stay at 3-0. I do apologize for jumping the gun there a little bit. So now that's going to be Grady along the far side, pressured by Watsky. Grady's going to take that up to about midfield. Her intended pass there for Prishman is going to be knocked away. A little bit of confusion there as to who's going to take the ball. For Tibiatowski is going to tap that up for Bedford. Bedford's pass is going to be intercepted by Prishman. Another intercepted pass there by Bedford as Tibiatowski is going to knock that one up. And again, Prishman there for an interception. She's going to move that up along the side to her teammate Sherritt, who in turn moves it over to her wing. That's Vaughn. He's going to move it over to Sherritt before that's knocked away by newly entered Elizabeth Retzer. And Fergus will have to regroup. That's sent in for Andrews. Andrews going to try to streak between 3 Moorhead defenders before it's knocked away by Johnson. And a couple of tap passes, and one just off of the foot of Wolf, and Fergus Falls will get that one back. Tweeten puts pressure there on Halter before it gets knocked out. And Fergus Falls will gain a throw in. That's Halter throwing it in now. Has moved up to toss it before that's knocked out by Bedford. Halter's going to throw that one in. And Feeney's going to kick that one back out, and Fergus is going to have to regroup again. Zanotti puts some great pressure there on the Fergus defense. She makes a move around another one. She's driving to the center. She's got about 5 people surrounding her. She'll make a move around another one. She's in all alone. Her shot's going to sail into the net, and Zanotti does it all and gets a hat trick in the first half for the Moorhead Spuds. As there was a little bit of confusion there between players and the refs as the last one got called off, so just making sure this one wasn't called off too. But Zanotti with a hat trick on the night here within 30 minutes into the first half, and she's up to 4 goals on the season, with 3 of them coming tonight. Grady's going to throw that along the far side before that's knocked out of bounds there by, I believe that's Carlson, as there was a whole host of substitutions there from both the Spuds and Otters, as they're trying to get players in and keep their players fresh. As with it now is Andrews moving up along the side. She's going to try to pass that over to Sherritt, but some great defense there by Moorhead will prevent any 2-on-1 opportunity from forming. And now there will be a throw-in along the far side there for the Otters. as they're just spotting the ball right now as to where Rice's kick went out, and a throw in there for intended Hope Gepford. 4 kicks going to be sent in on net, and Rice is going to scoop that one up. That was Maddie Boyd there with a hook shot from about the 15 to 20 yard line there on the football field. Now Fergus is going to end up with that one and being harassed there by 2 Moorhead forwards before that's chipped out. And taking it now is Gepford. Gepford's going to move that to Sherritt. Sherritt's going to tap that across before Johnson's going to knock that one away. Passed up to Waski. Waski with a move around Grady. She's in along the far side. She's going to pass it to the middle before a great defensive read there from Fergus. We'll keep this game at 4. And a shot there that may have missed the net is going to be taken in by Walters. She wasn't taking any chances with that one. Then she'll kick it from about the top of her box. As Kosova's going to take that in, they can move around a defender. She's trying to pull off what Zanatti did earlier, but Fergus is having none of that, and that'll be Mack that knocks that away. And the ball is now at about midfield where Fergus Falls will get a throw in. As it'll be Boyd. Looking around for a throw in. That's going to be intended for Andrews. Before that's actually taken back by Andrews. Is a weird bounce through Casa, but off guard. As now she's going to make a move and pass it on up to Steen. Steen's going to move it across to Wolf. Wolf's going to try to move it to Waski, but a great read there from Fergus defenders is going to make Fergus shift to offense here. As it'll be Gepford intended for Talia Nelson, but that'll just go a bit out of her reach. As now that's stored all along the side, and her pass is going to be sent into Steen. Steen tries to chip that one up to Wolf before that'll be Grady knocking that back to her goalie, Bryn Walter, who's going to get a kick from, again, the top of her box. Boyd here tries to kick it across before that's fielded away by Johnson. Costabud's with it now. That's passed over to Carlson. Carlson taps it up, and then a tap back over to Watsky. It's about 4 passes there. That's Watsky along the far side. And that'll be knocked out of bounds, and it'll go off of Watsky. So, excuse me, that'll go off of the defender on Watsky, and there will be a corner kick, a bell bank corner kick, and Ellie Feeney of Moorhead is going to take that one. And a hook shot's going to be sent in and knocked away there by Talia Nelson. And another bell bank corner kick for Moorhead here with about 5 minutes remaining in the first half. As she gets ready, she's going to hit that one in, and a weird bounce as Ellie Feeney will get another corner kick after it bounced off of Kiara Grady and went behind the net. So a third bell bank corner kick in a row. Is that sent in and bounces along the far side with no danger to the Otters as that sailed over just about everybody's heads. A little bit too much power on that one. And on 3 attempts from a corner kick, Moorhead's going to come up empty. And that's thrown in there to Gepford before a little bit of a battle along the side, and they'll go off of Moorhead as Halter is going to throw that one in. That was intended for Maddie Budke. They're just almost moving up the field there with throw-ins. That's stolen by Casabud before she'll move between a defender's legs and streaking up along the side. And the ref will rule that went off of Casabud. And so that'll be Fergus Falls along the near side here with a throw in. And that's going to go to Budke. Budke pressure there by Steen before that's knocked out. And we do it all again as they're laddering their way up along the side there with throw-ins. As a couple of bounces, we'll let Halter come into possession of that before she moves that up to Budke. Budke streaking along the side and stopping a little bit of a pause as that goes just behind her on a Piper Andrews pass, and Moorhead gets a throw in here along the near side. That's going to be thrown in there, intended for either Stordahl or Steen. And Steen's going to put great pressure on that one. And she's got a little bit of a break, but Grady's going to take that opportunity away, as well as Talia Nelson. As Steen putting in the effort there, trying to make it 5-0 Spuds, but again, just a great defensive effort there from the Otters defenders. As now Moorhead's going to end up with that, and a shot will go to Walter's right. And Walter will get a kick from her box. She's going to hit that one out to about the 25-yard line before that's settled down in the midst of Moorhead and Fergus Falls. And attempted move there by Wolf is going to be knocked away before Carlson's going to tap that over to Watsky. Watsky with a move back to Johnson. Johnson going to try to center that into the middle. And that's going to be taken away from her by Andrews. Andrews is going to send that one up. Intended for Sherritt, but Feeney's going to beat her to that one. She's going to in turn send that up to Watsky. Watsky tries to hit Carlson, but a little bit too far in front, and Nelson's going to send it up where Moorhead's going to intercept that one. That's tapped to the middle to Wolf. Wolf splitting the defenders. Slows that one down, and good save by Bryn Walters. She almost just collapses on top of that one and takes a shot to her gut to keep this score at 4-0. Is now along the far side there, near side. That was Andrews battling it out there with Moorhead defender. As 1 minute remains here in the first half. Moorhead's going to get a throw in just along the side there, as that's in for Costabud. And Costabud's going to head that one out, as Moorhead's just kind of seemingly stalling for time here. And that'll be Budke giving chase to that one before that's tapped out, and Fergus Falls gets a corner kick. That was Alderbach tapping that one out. And now Maddie Boyd's going to get a corner kick there for Fergus as that clock ticks down on the first half. Moorhead's going to knock that one away. That's Costabud. Before she tries to send that one up, but a little bit of bouncer, and Halter's going to tap it in before Fergus Falls regroups with about 10 seconds remaining here. And that's Nelson, whose pass is intercepted, and now Steen is going to lose possession of that, and Fergus will try to tap it ahead, and that pass will go just ahead, and that will do it for the first half here at Jim Goda Stadium. As the score stands on your Burt's Trucking Equipment scoreboard, your Spuds 4, Fergus Falls Otter 0.
Natural talent, physical gifts, training advantages. To become a champion, none of that matters. True champions are the ones who are comfortable working harder, staying later, and finding that competitive edge. They are never satisfied simply doing a good job, because those who transform themselves from local talent into local folklore are the ones who continually perform beyond their limits. Bell Bank, proudly supporting champions everywhere.
is a small business owner. She is swamped. Pam knows she needs to advertise but is overwhelmed by all the options. What if there was a way for Pam to have access to a team of media experts? What if this was at no extra cost and didn't require a contract? Meet Avenue Right. Save time, money, and get peace of mind that your advertising dollars are well spent.
We are The Breakdown. For almost 2 decades, we've published the most comprehensive yearbooks on Minnesota high school sports and run the best in-season and off-season events. We cover every corner of the state. We are The Breakdown.
Boss DXT snowplows are tough to beat. Featuring dual trip tech, flared wings, and optional D-force for improved scraping and back-dragging performance. Choose from 3 different sizes in steel, stainless steel, and poly. The Boss DXT is built to restore order.
Your home for Boss snowplows is Bert's Truck Equipment on Highway 75 North in Moorhead.
Before I became a real boy, life was easy. I just sat there doing sandwich stuff. But being alive is so hard. So if you don't want to get up to get a sandwich, you shouldn't have to.
Revive Professional Massage Therapy Clinic. Locally owned and operated. Open 7 days a week, day, evening, and same-day appointments available. Couples massages also available. 20 highly trained professional licensed massage therapists on staff. Now with 2 locations, South Fargo and Detroit Lakes, offering online booking and online gift certificates. www.reviveprofessionalmassage.com.
The Moorhead Legacy Education Foundation and Spud History were happy to offer services to 10 Moorhead High School class reunions this summer. The class reunions took tours of the high school, visited the Spud History Wall at Horizon Middle School, were entertained by Moorhead High School music students, and were visited by Spuddy. Start planning your class reunion today. Here's the email address, spudhistory@moorheadschools.org for more information.
Natural talent, physical gifts, training advantages. To become a champion, none of that matters. True champions are the ones who are comfortable working harder, staying later, and finding that competitive edge. They are never satisfied simply doing a good job, because those who transform themselves from local talent into local folklore are the ones who continually perform beyond their limits. Bell Bank, proudly supporting champions everywhere.
Pam is a small business owner. She is swamped. Pam knows she needs to advertise, but is overwhelmed by all the options. What if there was a way for Pam to have access to a team of media experts? What if this was at no extra cost and didn't require a contract? Meet Avenue Right. Save time, money, and get peace of mind that your advertising dollars are well spent.
We are The Breakdown. For almost 2 decades, we've published the most comprehensive yearbooks on Minnesota high school sports and run the best in-season and off-season events. We cover every corner of the state. We are The Breakdown.
Boss DXT snowplows are tough to beat. Featuring dual trip tech, flared wings, and optional D-force for improved scraping and backdragging performance. Choose from 3 different sizes in steel, stainless steel, and poly. The Boss DXT is built to restore order.
Your home for Boss Snowplows is Bert's Truck Equipment on Highway 75 North in Moorhead.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to tonight's broadcast of girls soccer on Spuds TV, brought to you by Muscatel Subaru. Again, I am Carter Castoris, your play-by-play commentary. And tonight, it has been all Moorhead through the first half, as the score stands at 4-0 on your Burt's Trucking Equipment scoreboard, with Zanotti contributing on all 4 of them and scoring herself on 3 of them, with 2 of those coming unassisted. Kossabud has the other goal tonight for the Spuds as she gets one as a tap pass from Zanotti, and she'll send it into the bottom left of Walter's net. So Moorhead putting on some very good pressure there to start the half as we get the second part underway.
Second half of play from Moorhead High School, Fergus Falls and Moorhead.
There's a couple of bounces there, and that'll be Andrews trying to chip it up before a little bit of a battle as Fergus is coming out here with a little bit of intensity to start the half, as Zanotti's going to knock that one away from defender Talia Nelson, and they're going to have to regroup a little bit as Zanotti puts on some great pressure of her own. Saw Fergus there with a little bit of 4 consecutive passes before moving it up to about the 25 to 30 yard line there along their offensive zone. So clearly Coach Ben Juergens said something to them during the half that got them a little bit motivated, as they actually came out of the half almost fired up here and were moving it pretty well before Zanotti intercepted that pass. As now goalies have actually switched, and now it is Kelsey Davis-Beck in net for Fergus Falls. As now that will be Nelson, who tries to hit that one up along the far side. And a pass intended all the way up is going to be just in front of her intended target, and Caden Sharp will watch that roll out of bounds. She's going to throw that one in before that's knocked along the far side. Tap back to Bernstrom. Bernstrom's going to throw that up, and Zanotti with a fake header there, trying to throw off defender Talia Nelson before she'll knock that one out, and Moorhead gets a throw in there. Excuse me, Fergus Falls is going to get a throw in. And that's Sherritt there being pressured by Moorhead along the side as Kossabud watches. And a couple of switchbacks there, and that's tapped over to Sharp. Sharp tried to hit it to Zanotti, but that's going to bounce all the way back, and Holter will tap that one out. And Moorhead gets a throw in there along the far side. That's thrown in for Tweeton, and that'll be really a handball on Moorhead as it bounced up a little bit too high and bounced off of Tweeton's fist. So a free kick from Fergus's defensive zone will be sent forward and intercepted by Kossabud. That's intercepted by Tweeton there before a weird bounce, and Brainerd tries to hit a streaking forward up there, and that'll roll out of bounds. As that'll be Vaughn that's going to throw it in, and now Sherritt with it now before she's pressured by Feeney and Kossabud. And that's going to be Clem before that's hit up, and the 2 number 4s, Sydney Tweeton and Hope Gepford, were battling there before Fergus ended up coming away with that. Now Sharp's going to hit that along the side, and Drone is going to try to chip that for Zanotti, but Sharp's going to end up with it, and that's tapped forward. And a read there by Davis-Beck, and her first action of the night as she's going to knock that one away. Sharp's coming in with it now. She's got Zanotti on her left. Before that's moved up along the side to Dronin. Drone's going to tap it back, and a shot's going to just slip through Davis-Beck's hands, and Moorhead strikes first here in the second half with 36-23 left on the board. As that was a great shot coming from just above the box. There were about 3 Spuds there, so I did not quite catch who scored it. We may hear it over the PA system. I do apologize. I did not catch who ended up shooting that. I know Zanotti and Sharp, and I believe Krieg were all in the mix up front there, but not sure who actually ended up with that. And Zanotti's going to chip that one up, and that'll be ran down by Nelson and pressured by Tweeton. Tweeton's going to drive along the side there. Her shot's going to go into the open net, and she scores! Spuds with 2 goals in under 20 seconds, as Sydney Tweeton's going to get that one along the close side. A little bit of aggressive play there by Davis Beck. And the Spuds are now up 6-0 on your Burt's Trucking Equipment scoreboard. As she had been putting pressure on all night, and it was only a matter of time before she ended up getting a goal of her own. She was a big contributing factor in at least 2 of the earlier goals, with her putting pressure on that side before it squirted back to the middle for Zanotti and Casabud with each of their goals. As now speaking of Zanotti, she'll get it back. She'll try to tap it up for Krieg. But Grady's going to run that one down before she can get there. She's going to try to tap it along the side there to Nelson, but that'll just go out of her reach. Excuse me, that was Vaughn along the side there, not Nelson. Here's Johnson ready for the throw-in now. She does a cartwheel and a throw-in. You could hear the fans enjoyed that one. As Johnson's going to get that back in a couple of tap passes, and Tweeton's going to end up with it. Now here's Zanotti. Zanotti's shot's going to go in on net, and Davis Beck will take that one in as she explores options on where to kick it out before she settles for a high kick right about midfield before that's fielded down by Feeney. Now run down by Krieg. Krieg battling along the side there with Vaughn. And Costa was going to end up with that one, and I believe it's called a handball. And so that will be Kiara Grady there taking the kick. That's Tweeton, passed over to Krieg. Krieg along the sideline before that's knocked away from her by Grady. And a couple of bounces there. Zanotti's going to streak for that one with Grady. Zanotti using her speed. She's going to dart around 2 defenders. She's trying to drive to the net, passes back to the middle, and that'll be knocked up by a Fergus defender. Costable's going to intercept an intended pass out. And Zanotti's going to get that one back, and a crazy hook shot will go in for Zanotti's 4th goal of the night, making it 7-0 Moorhead. As Davis Beck actually thought that was going to miss the net before that hooks in to her left side. So Moorhead dominating here, 7-0. As that goal comes at about 33:50 remaining here within the second half. That's going to be Moorhead along the far side here, as actually Fergus will end up taking that away. As Casabud puts pressure on that one, and she'll end up knocking down an attacker before Gepfer is going to take that one away. She's moving up along the side. She's going to pass it up along the side, and Benstrom's going to try to knock that away before Tweeton sends that one out of bounds. And Fergus Falls will get a throw-in. And that's going to go in, and Feeney heads that one on over to Bernstrom, and her move is going to result in actually Zanotti getting that one. She explores options. Tries to hit Krieg streaking along there, but she had slowed down just a little bit by that time. And actually Krieg putting on some great pressure here on Grady before it'll bounce off of Krieg. And Davis Beck will get a kick from her goal box. With just over 32 minutes remaining here, Spuds have scored 3 quick goals in succession, with Tweeton and Zanotti each getting one of those. And again, I do apologize. I did not catch who scored the first goal of the half. So that's moved into the middle here for Andrews. Andrews is going to make a move around a defender. She's going to come on in for a shot. Knocked away by Ella Rice. And she keeps the score at 7-0. Great read there by Rice as she may have had that slip through her hands, but didn't matter because the way she had angled them, the ball was going out anyway. So, again, just a great read there along her posts as she knew exactly where her net was and knocked that one out. As now it'll be a corner kick here for Fergus Falls. Actually a little bit of a trick play for that sent into the box and a whole mess of forwards and defenders, and eventually it'll be sent out for Zanotti, who tries to chip it out, but that's actually going to be kept in by Nelson. As that's Feeney with it now before it's knocked away. And then gained right back by Zanotti, who's going to chip that along the side, and that's Waski streaking along the far side. But Talia Nelson there will shut the door, and Ella Waski will not be able to go any farther. As now a kick's going to go in, and Zanotti's going to have that one. She dribbles around a couple of defenders before she tries to tap it back to Cosbo, but that's going to be intercepted. Now Gepfer is going to have that. She's going to move it over to the center. And that'll be Vaughn trying to streak for it. But that's going to bounce off of Paige Johnson and go out of bounds. And now Grady's throw-in is going to bounce off of Vaughn's head. And Costable's going to field that one before she knocks it out of bounds. And Grady gets another throw-in along the close side here. That's headed way into the sky, and eventually that'll be settled down and knocked forward. As here comes Andrews trying to streak along the side, but some great defense there by Elizabeth Retzer. And that's knocked out. As I believe that will be ruled, yes, it is ruled a corner kick. And that'll be Kiara Grady taking that for the Fergus Falls Otters. As that's going to go in on net and through the crease and ends up bouncing through the back. As that was Fergus Falls who touched it last, so Ella Rice will get a kick from her box. And she opts to send it out to Haley Clem instead. Clem's going to send that one out to about the 40 before that's knocked down by Halter, and it'll end up bouncing out of bounds. And Bernstrom's going to get a throw in for the Spuds along the far side. She'll throw it in for Costabud. Before Fergus is going to end up with control of it. And here's the Naughty using a burst of speed and then slowing down a little bit. And a nice move around a defender before she chips it up. And I believe that was called offsides, as Feeney was just a step ahead of the defender. So Fergus Falls will get a free kick from just outside of their own goalie box. As we await the kick here, something you have to notice in the game is you see a lot of substitutions, as you may see on the bottom of your screen sometimes some players lining up as they were ready to go into the game. And as I said, lots of substitutions, so both coaches obviously keeping their players fresh and rotating through. I'm not sure if there's a player on either team that's played the entire game, or if there is, there are very few of them, as I've called quite a few names tonight on the score sheet as opposed to sometimes just the starting 11. As now Zanotti's going to chip that over to Krieg, and Davis Beck will read that one and prevent Krieg from getting a scoring opportunity. As the ref decides he doesn't like that, as it might have been flat, as he seemed to push in the size of the ball a little bit. And he okays that, and we are good to go here with 26:55 remaining in the second half. And that was headed up by Carlson before that's taken away from her. And eventually Casabud's going to end up with it. Casabud's going to move it up for Zanotti, who's going to tap it quickly across to Watsky. Watsky's going to end up with that one. She'll try to tap that forward for Feeney, but a defensive read there by both Nelson and Davis Beck will prevent any further Moorhead pressure from developing, at least for now. And that'll be sent ahead, and Johnson's going to try to field that one down, but an awkward bounce, and now here comes Andrews with it. Andrews with 3 Moorhead players on her, and she's going to end up getting through as she pushes along the near side before that's knocked out to Carlson. And Carlson's going to tap that up to Krieg. And Krieg's going to field it off of a bounce. And now that is Nelson with it, with options. And she's going to send that up to Vaughn. Vaughn trying to hit Grady. Grady taps it ahead for Andrews. Andrews tries to send it out, but a read there by Haley Clem. And she'll send it out of bounds and let Moorhead regroup. And as I mentioned before with substitutions, 5 new subs come in for the 2 teams. 3 for Moorhead and 2 for Fergus Falls.
Stepping in for the Otters, number 8, Megan Tessette, and number 10, Maddie Gutke, and number 11, Ella Scarzell.
And now a throw in here for Grady is going to go in along the side, and Clem's going to field that one down and boots it up for Zanotti. Here comes Nelson now. She's at about the 40 before Watsky's going to have a pass just go a little bit past her. Casabud defends the side there very well. She takes the ball away from Vaughn. And a nifty little spinorama there before she'll pass it out to Zanotti. And Zanotti with a little stop and go move. She'll move that over along the side. For that's Bedford trying to hit back to the middle as Carlson's going to pressure Gepford there as be ruled a foul. And a little bit too quick there as Moorhead jumped the gun on their free kick as here comes Clem up from her defensive spot to take that kick. And she's going to actually send it in on net. And Davis Beck's going to read that one and make the stop. That's going to be sent way into the air, and eventually a weird bounce is going to actually send it in Moorhead's favor as that's Bedford with it. Trying to chip it around, but Grady's going to stop it. And Bedford's second attempt's going to work. With it now is Casabud. Casabud with a couple of moves. Going around Gepford. She's trying to make a drive to the net. Before a shot will end up going off of Maddie Boyd and scooped up by Kelsey Davis Beck in her net, and she'll throw that all the way out. Is now Casabud's going to get that one back. It's a couple of tap passes before that's intercepted by Boyd. Boyd's going to try to chip that to the middle for Halter, but that's not going to work, and that's along the far side. Pressure put on by Watsky. For that sent back, and Nelson's going to have to regroup. Nelson tried to send it for Boyd, but that's knocked away, and Zanotti and Nelson are in a foot race now along that far side, which Zanotti's going to win. She's going to drive into the net, and a shot's going to score, and Zanotti with 5 on the night adds another to the Spuds total, putting it at 8-0.
By number 13, Maria Zanotti.
Again, that was number 13, Maria Zanotti, with 5 on the night, with 22:26 remaining on the clock, as now it's going to get tapped back. And now a shot's going to hook in, and Ella Rice is going to make that save on a Piper Andrews right-footed shot. She walks all the way to the top of her crease for that one before Zanotti feels that one down. And she's going to take that one back from Halter. As moving around the field, she's trying to decide what to do. There's now along the far side there. That's Gepford moving up to the side to Sherritt. Sherritt's going to tap it back for Nelson. Nelson's going to move it along the far side there for a weird bounce and pressure put on by Moorhead. And a foul there along just about the outside of the orange on that center line on Kate Casabud, and a free kick for Fergus Falls. Talia Nelson's going to be sent in on net to Ella Rice, and she'll charge out for that one. And there will be a kick just outside of the goal box because Ella Rice carried the ball out with her hands just outside of her, box. As the goalies are only allowed to hold it in that big orange box you see on the football field just inside the 10-yard line to the goal line along the box there. So a shot's going to be taken here by Kiara Grady. As the Spuds and Otters both line up. So a big test here with about half of the second half remaining. And the shot by Grady is going to go in and off of the football goalposts. So just over the net. And a crisis averted for Moorhead's Ella Rice. As again, that shot will just go about 2 or 3 feet above the net and bounce off of the football goalposts. And Rice will opt for Clem to take that shot. Kick outside of her net. And that's going to be sent all the way up for Zanotti. Zanotti dribbling it up now. Trying to find options. She's going to move that across for Bedford. Before a weird bounce, and Grady is going to end up with that one. That's passed up now, and here comes Gepford. Again, a couple of bounces, and settling it down there is Sherritt before she'll pass it back to Andrews, and Bedford's going to steal that from her. She'll pass it over to Casabud. Casabud up to Zanotti. Zanotti slowing it down, trying to make a move, and then use the burst of speed before that's knocked away from her by Piper Andrews. Is now Zanotti will sub out there along that near side. And that'll be number 3, Hallie Steen coming into the game. And that's Gepford there, trying to chip it past Moorhead, but a defensive effort there. And kept in before knocked out by Fergus Falls, as that was Starzl knocking out a Elizabeth Retzer Moorhead shot along the near side.
Substitutions in for the Otters.
As now we have some Otter substitutions as well. Number 22, Maddie Boyd will check back into the game.
Number 12, Ellie Feeney.
As well as number 12, Ellie Feeney for the Moorhead Spuds. And Fergus Falls will get a throw in along the close side here, as that's Starzl throwing it in. Now here comes Casabud. Casabud with a move around an attacker. She's going to drive up the middle. And that'll be Wolf, who's going to get a tap back pass, and she's going to have the middle. And she tried to split the defenders there, but a read by Nelson is going to stop that attempt. So here comes Andrews. And Andrews trying to go around Alderbach, but it'll eventually bounce out of bounds, and Alderbach's going to get a throw in. That's into Steen. Steen's going to move it to Costabud. And that'll be Boyd taking a spill to the turf as Costabud's going to make a move around her and also move around another defender. She's going to move in. And eventually it'll be knocked out by an Otter defender there along the far side. Now a throw in here and also some more substitutions for Moorhead, keeping their players fresh. As that's number 22, Annie Krieg, number 4, Sydney Tweeton, and number 10, Caden Sharp, all checking back into the game here with just over 16 minutes left here in the game. As now that's Tweeton with it here. She's going to chip it up for Sharp. And now Waski giving chase to it, but Halter's going to beat her to that. And a shot's going to be sent in on net for Tweeton. And a save there by Davis Beck keeps the score as it is, as she dives to her right to stop a Tweeton shot. And she prevents her from getting her second to the night. And now a little bit of a bouncing ball around midfield before it's taken in by Tweeton. Tweeton's going to try to move that up to Watsky, but a read there by Halter. And it will be ruled a handball on Fergus. And a free kick is going to be sent all the way in and fielded there by Davis Beck, as she contemplates options, and she'll eventually kick it up. And that'll be a bounce in Fergus's favor before Feeney knocks down somebody and ends up fielding that ball on the near side. Intended pass for Krieg is intercepted. Now Andrews with it. Before Krieg's going to get that one back. And again, interception by Boyd. Boyd hits Andrews along the side there. Back to Boyd. Back again to Andrews. Andrews' pass to the middle is going to be blocked away by Carlson. And now Kree's going to have a chance along the side. She chips around a defender. A nice little slip move. And now Caden Sharp is streaking up along the side, along with Steen, who she's going to try to pass to. And she's attempted to be pushed off by Grady, but it's not going to work. And it's going to bounce off of the post. Just off of Davis Beck's hands. And a Steen right-footed shot will just bounce off of the post. And that will be Moorhead's second post they've hit tonight, as they seem to be unlucky with no post mount. I wouldn't call them unlucky in the game, however, glancing off of the post and in just does not seem to be in favor for Moorhead tonight. As now that's Tweeton, who's going to move it up, intended for Sharp. Sharp trying to use a burst of speed to get around Grady, but Grady's going to box her out and move it up along the side. That's kept in. And now there'll be a fight for it with Krieg and Starzl. Starzl's going to chip that one up for Andrews. She's going to knock that one down around Alderbach. Her chip shot's just going to go out of reach of Ella Starzl. And Feeney is going to take the throw in for Moorhead there along the near side. As that's Tweeton trying to chip forward. For Grady is going to knock that one. And Moorhead will take it right back as Alderbach's with it. And that'll be Andrews chipping it back to the middle. And a great play there by Sherritt. As she tries to chip it back to Andrews, but it'll go just out of her reach. And Moorhead's going to get a throw in along the near side in their defensive zone. As that'll be Haley Clem throwing it in. Knocked down by Caden Sharp, but again, knocked out by Fergus. And another throw in for Moorhead. As that'll be Allerbach here along the close side of the camera. And she'll throw it in for Tweeton. for a battle for it between Costabud, Andrews, and Toss It, but eventually it'll glance off of, Krieg, and will get knocked out.
Entering the game for Fergus Falls, number 4, Hope Getford.
And number 4, Hope Getford, checks back into the game here for Fergus Falls. The shot's going to go in on Rice, and she's going to make the save. That's going to be sent way out and eventually bounce back for Moorhead. As here comes Krieg. Kept in there alongside him. That'll glance off of Krieg, and Fergus will get a throw in, as that's Ella Starzl here along the near side, right about the 40 on the football field. As Sharp's going to head back to the middle for a bounce off of Alderbach, and that'll be Sherritt with possession of it. She'll tap it back to Grady. Grady looking for options, for she just decides to boot that one up. And Feeney recovers that one while being pressured by Starzl. She's going to chip that up to Carlson, and a weird bounce off of the toe of her foot, and that'll glance out of bounds. And now Fergus Falls will get a throw in there along the near side of Moorhead's defensive zone. As Starzl's going to take that one. She'll throw that one in. And that shot's going to come in from Talia Nelson. That's going to be taken in by Ella Rice. And we are just under 10 minutes here to play at Jim Goda Stadium. And your Spuds currently lead on your Burt's Trucking Equipment scoreboard. Spuds 8 and Fergus Falls 0. Again, that is with 10 minutes left in the game here. As Sharp's going to take that in just at about midfield, and she'll try to chip it up for Steen. She's in a foot race right now with Grady. Grady deciding whether or not to push that to the outside or tap it back to her goalie, and she'll elect to go to the outside and knock that one out. As here's Krieg along the near side for a throw-in. She'll throw that in. It's intercepted right away by Kugler. But there will be a whistle, and Fergus Falls will end up getting a throw-in. As a sub in here is Jana Prishman comes back into the game for Fergus. And a couple of weird bounces, and Fergus will get a throw in just farther on down the field this time. Is taking that in now is Jana Prishman, and that'll bounce just away from her as Shenelov getting that away from Krieg. That's Alderbach trying to pass it to Krieg, but just out of her reach. And again, another throw in for Fergus Falls. And the throw in by Cryan is going to bounce back to Prishman. Back to Cryan. Cryan's going to try to move it to the middle, but that'll be intercepted by Tweeton. Tweeton's going to move that to Sharp. Sharp's going to chip that back for Tweeton, who makes a move around a Fergus Falls attacker. And that'll be Steen trying to drive the net. As she puts on some great pressure before it is chipped out of bounds. And Moorhead's going to get a throw in there along the far side, as that'll be a Moorhead attacker throwing that in. And the throw-in's going to be fielded by Tweeton, and that's tapped back. That'll be Zanatti, actually. Zanatti's going to move that to her defender, and that's Feeney. She's going to tap it back up for Clem. Clem's going to move it over the side to Sharp. Sharp in for Tweeton. Tweeton back to Sharp. Sharp going to try to take almost a shot in on net, but that's going to be kicked out by an Otter defender. And Moorhead will get a throw in here. As there was a whistle and a stoppage of play here And a throw in from Moorhead. It's going to bounce in their favor, and that's Feeney regrouping now over to Zanotti. Zanotti's going to pass it over to the side. With it now is Vaughn. Vaughn's going to try to move it up, but Zanotti's going to take that one away. And Zanotti keeping it along the side there, and she stops it from going out. And she'll tap it back to Feeney. Feeney's going to try to move it across there for her fellow D partner, but that'll go just out of her reach, and Fergus will get a throw in. As that's thrown into Sherritt. And a knockdown there by Tweeten, and Moorhead's going to gain possession. As that's chipped up, and Steen giving chase to that one, but Nelson will get to it first and just chip it out of bounds. As now Watsky along that far side at just inside the 25-yard line on the football field, and she'll throw it in for Zanotti. Zanotti's going to chip it way into the sky, bouncing into the box, and that's fielded in by Davis Beck. And again, she explores options before deciding to kick it out to just past the 40. And that'll be Vaughn knocking it down for a battle between Tweeten and Sherritt along just inside the Fergus defensive zone. And eventually there will be a foul on Tweeten, and Kiara Grady is going to get a chance to kick that one into Fergus's offensive zone. Trying to kick something, kickstart something here very late within the game with just about 5 minutes remaining here. And Zanotti says no to that and taps it back for Clem, who's in turn going to tap it up. And a couple of weird bounces, and Watsky is going to end up with that on the far side, and that'll go out of bounds, and Fergus will get a throw in. And a little bit too quick for the ref's liking, and a substitution for Fergus Falls as Piper Andrews checks back into the game.
Piper Andrews checking in for the Otters.
And the ref stopping that as Maddie Boyd wasn't quite off the field, so you're just waiting for everything to get set up, and they give the okay, and that's thrown in and fielded away by Zanotti. Zanotti's going to chip that to Steen. Watsky tries to keep it in, but just glances off the outside of her foot and ends up rolling out of bounds. That's thrown in along the far side and chipped back over. Steen's going to try to go between the legs of a defender, Nelson, and a great read there as Nelson's going to just shoot it off of Watsky's legs, and Davis Beck is going to get a kick from her area, but she'll elect to give it to Nelson instead. That's something you've seen these goalies do this game, is they'll let their defenders take the shot instead of putting the goalies out of position and attempting to get a shot. Because if you have a bad bounce, at least your goalie's in position if your defender took the shot instead. As now Cree is going to try to drive the outside of the net. And Davis Beck not taking any chances with that one, and dives and stops that one from posing a threat. As now she'll actually kick that out, as that's fielded by Sherritt before taken away and booted way into the sky. Moving it up now is Andrews. Andrews is going to try to chip it up to Sherritt. That'll be taken away by Haley Clem. A great read there is Fergus Falls still looking for their first goal. Feeney's going to take that one away. That's going to be moved up to Sharp, who taps it to Zanotti. Zanotti with a move over to Feeney. Feeney with a lucky bounce off of a defender and tried to chip up for Sharp. And no handball is ruled, as that will glance off of, I believe, Grady, and she'll send that up. Is now streaking along the side here is Vaughn. For Alderbach puts on the pressure and allows Moorhead to regroup. Here's Vaughn now. For Zanotti, he's going to intercept a pass intended for Gepford. And a good move around Gepford by Zanotti. She's going to move it up to Sharp. Sharp's going to tap it on over to Steen. It's just out of her reach, and a foot race for it will ensue. However, Halter will get there first. And she'll get a throw in there along the far side in her defensive zone. Halter will get another throw in here. That's headed away by Holly Steen. There's now a couple of moves there by Tweeten, and she's going to send that in on net just to the right of Davis Beck. She tried to put the score at 9-0, but just a little bit outside of the net as Davis Beck watches that one roll by her. As now a kick is going to be sent forward before it's intercepted by Zanati, and Zanati had a weird bounce off of her foot, and eventually Moorhead's going to come into possession of that. This actually will be a handball, I believe, on Haley Clem. And Fergus Falls will get a free kick as we're just under a minute here, about 45 seconds left in the game. And Ella Rice is going to boot that up. That's chipped forward, and Watsey's going to streak for that one. She's pressured by Andrews. Again, Zanati over to Krieg. Krieg being heavily pressured there along the side before Zanati's going to take that back. A hook shot's going to be sent in for Sharp, and she knew it and tried to stop the ball, but it was offsides. And now with the ball bouncing, they'll have to retrieve a new one, and that'll kill a couple of seconds on the clock. As now that'll be set down, and with time expiring, your Moorhead Spuds have defeated the Fergus Falls Otters 8-0. And your Spuds improved to 1-4 on the year, while Fergus falls to 2-3. Zanati led the way tonight for the Moorhead Spuds with 5 goals, followed by Tweeten, Casabud, and again an unknown Spud player who had that 8th goal. As we here at Spuds TV, thank you for tuning in tonight to girls varsity soccer as the final score stands at your Moorhead Spuds 8, Fergus Falls 0.